It didn't really take long for me to decide which one I liked better. In fact, as soon as I got in this car after I dropped off the VXR, it wasn't wet, but I managed to reacquaint myself with the particular characteristics of the rear-wheel drive V8 sedan that I love. Throttle oversteer. Now, I didn't go nuts, I didn't go crazy, I just got in, had an opportunity, didn't even think about it, just gave it a little bit more throttle because I was used to being in the VXR where if you get to a corner, give it full lock and give it some throttle, you get torque vectoring across the back wheel, so you'll have the outside wheel will drive faster than the inside wheel and you'll turn reasonably quickly. Same thing happens with one of these, it just makes a little bit more noise and I guess requires a little bit more control. It's also probably a little bit more fun. Just, the other thing that sticks out with this car is obviously the V8 motor because it just has that explosive jump off the line that you don't get out of the turbo VXR. It's a nice car and it's pretty fast, but this is just explosive is the only word I can think of. It's exactly right. Sound, noise, thrust, it all gets there, all in one nice tidy little package. It even has a little bit of scooting around if you're in the wet like we are at the moment. But the SSV doesn't win all the contests. Although I've become fairly familiar with this particular design, this is the VF1, not the VF2, which came out this past Sunday. This design is pretty nice. The new one looks even better. But the VXR looks even a little bit more contemporary and modern. It looks a lot lighter than it is, but it actually weighs about the same as what a standard V6 Commodore weighs. Oh, buses, traffic. So I didn't have to think too long about which one I decided I liked. It was pretty much all over as soon as I put my foot to the floor on this one. But the VXR wins on things like design. It does look a little bit more modern and tight and controlled. This looks brawnier and certainly a lot tougher, particularly in this Regal Peacock colour. When you get it in the light, it's got that sort of green metallic tinge to it. When you get it in the dark, it looks black. Plus it's got the nice contrast and a bit of chrome trim here and there. Well, I'm not really sold on the fender vents, which are obviously fake, on the VF1. They just kind of look out of place, particularly when you got the Calais with the chrome strip down the bottom. It doesn't line up with the fender vents. I think they were really put on there for the US market. It doesn't suit my taste. It doesn't seem to match the rest of the design. But it does provide nice contrast to this particular dark colour. VXR also has nicer seats. The Recaro buckets are pretty damn comfortable. These are okay, reasonably nice leather, but they don't really provide anywhere near the amount of support you get out of the Recaros. But with this one, I can turn and look quite easily and it's quite comfortable. Oh, that guy's not doing a good job. Fuel economy, comparing the two of them, it's pretty close, but as you can imagine the V8 tends to lose out, and as the saying goes, you pay to play. So this does have the next level of performance above what the Turbo 2.8 has, and accordingly it also has the next level of fuel consumption. It's not a massive difference, although I found that I could probably keep the consumption of the 2.8 around the sort of 12 to 10 litres per 100 k's in most regular driving. On the highway it got down to about 8.2 on a particularly good run. With this one I've got a current best of 8.6, but around town it's around about the 14 litres per 100 k's. And both of them suffer from the same intangible but completely unable to ignore temptation of just planting your foot at every possible opportunity. I like doing it in a turbo because it does have that nice turbo rush to it as well, but I also like to floor it in the turbo because you can throw it into the corner and lean into it and get some really good solid cornering G-forces going. I like planting my foot in this one for all the other wonderful reasons. As I mentioned before, the thrust, the sound, the push in the back is just a wonderful experience. That's a soft way to describe something like a push from a V8. It's a little bit more than a wonderful experience. It's intoxicating. So again, that next question, this SSV is a very similar price to the VXR. In fact, they're probably line ball when you got down to the dealers and tried to wrangle one over the other. Decision wise, I would probably pick because of the size of my family, I would like to have a Commodore in one of the two slots I have in my garage, because I need that extra space. I need the extra width in the back there, and obviously this one's only a sedan, so I would choose the wagon so I can put the dog in the back. But in that second slot, I certainly wouldn't mind having a VXR, because when you're on your own, it is an absolute truckload of fun. And even when I took my co-workers to lunch in it, they seemed to enjoy themselves. I didn't really hear any screams of terror. They all seemed to be laughing with enjoyment. Whereas this one, they're a little more... Which is a funny trait of this car too. Even though it does seem to move around a fair bit when compared to the VXR, which it does, the level of control is still massively high. Incredibly high. It just doesn't instill as much confidence in the passengers as what the VXR does. Oh my god, that is a big wing for a standard Mazda 3. So, this one by a nose, it does a lot more things well than what the VXR does, but what the VXR does well, it does really well. Maybe you're a badge snob, at which point driving a Commodore might not suit your status in the car park at work. Oh, I love that. Fuck status. Go to the V8. Just buy one.